Hello, good evening. Welcome. Likutey Moharan here. The incomparable Torah of Daled. So we have basically laid down the foundation. We are ascending to that which is beyond any level of human grasp. A light which is above the Ruach, Nefesh, Neshama, a light that is basically unbounded, it's undifferentiated. And Rabbeinu says that the way to get there, the first step, is doing the mitzvahs b'simcha. When a person does the mitzvahs b'simcha, the mitzvahs themselves are the gashmias, are this world. That's what this world is about. In order to make do a mitzvah, you have to use a physical object, you have to use a film, you have to use a lulav, you have to use candles, whatever it is, the mitzvahs are gashmias. Eating, not eating, whatever, all these things are basically gashmias. And as such, it means it is mixed up with the level of Olam Hazeh. And in order to elevate whatever holy sparks there are in the realm of Olam Hazeh, of Klipas Noiga. Now, what happens is when a person does the mitzvahs b'simcha, the mitzvahs themselves are a very efficient flying apparatus. But nevertheless, it needs a pilot. The pilot of the mitzvah is the simcha, the emunah, the gefühl that you have that when you're doing the mitzvah, you're doing what the melech, what the king wants you to do. So when a person does the mitzvahs b'simcha, that elevates the malchus, the lowest level that there is, from the klipos, from the husks, from the tumah, and that mitzvah now is going and it is awakening and exciting all the realms to Tzedakah Baruch. Then what happens is that walking, that advancing to wake up all the elements is in Kabbalah. There is a formula for this, of expressing this phenomena, mitzvah going, awaking all the elements, and that is that the malchus comes in, addresses over the Netzach Hod Yesod. Netzach Hod Yesod are the legs and Osbis Kodesh. So we said this is akin to Malchus is the clothing, is the outside, that's the pants, we said it a few times. Then it's how does the legs, you're putting the legs in the pants. Now the pants can walk. Obviously it's not the pants who are walking, it's the melech that is wearing the pants. Okay. Once that particular stage is done, and there is an excitement in all the spiritual realms to Tzedakah Baruch Hu, what happens is that bracha comes from above. When somebody comes to you and is very eager to learn from you, you get cheshek, to teach them, to bestow, to bestow to them. So that too has a Kabbalistic formula, and that means that the Netzach Hod Yesod, the legs as it were, are now going up and are clothing the Chesed Gvura Tiferes. Chesed Gvura Tiferes are a euphemism for the right hand, the left hand, and the trunk. This is the source of brachas. The legs are the source of walking, but the legs do not give and do not take. The hands, this is what they do. They give. The brachas comes from the yadayim. He said, "But Aaron HaKohen," he says, Aaron HaKohen lifted up his hands and he blesses the people. the blessing come from the Yadayim. Now, the blessing that comes down is always intelligence, is sechel. Intelligence is the raw material from which anything is constructed from. Wealth is constructed from intelligence. Health is constructed from, physical intelligence. Happiness is constructed from intelligence. And of course, intelligence itself, chokhmah, is made of intelligence. The intelligence that come from the Yadayim, that the hands are giving over are, neutral raw material. Each one according to the kind of bracha that he wants, that's the kind of bracha that he gets. And Rebbe says, but the main thing, obviously, a person needs to be smart and realize that the only thing that really counts, the only thing that really makes a difference, the only bracha that really gets you anything is real seichel, is real wisdom. So this is what you get. With your hands, you get the bracha of the seichel. When you choose the bracha of wisdom, that too has a Kabbalistic formula. And this is where the Chesed Gvor Tiferes, they go up and they clothe the Chochmah Bina Das. That's the Seichel, that's the wisdom. So now you have started with taking the Malchus out of the Klipot. You got it to wrap itself around the Netzach Yesod and put life into the mitzvahs. Now the mitzvahs awaken all the worlds to serve Kadosh Baruch Hu. You got to the hands, you got brachas. When you got a brachas, now you are mechaven, the bracha that you should get will be wisdom. So the Chesed Gvor Tiferes also are elevated, and they are wrapping around, as it were, the Chochmah Bina Das. And this is and so we said in Sif Hey, the main bracha is that comes from them is Seichel. When it comes down, it comes to each one to the way he wants. And then we said that the main thing that a person should look for is the Birkas HaSeichel, and therefore it's a Sikras Yodov. This is Chesed Gvor Tiferes that are clothing, a malbish, are becoming a keli for the Chochmah Bina Das. All this is happening in the lowest realm of Olam Asir. Now, when a person is mechaben, when a person aims to get the bracha that he gets, it should be Birkas HaSeichel. The inner light of the spheres Chesed Gvor Tiferes goes and surrounds, as we said, the Chochmah Bina Das, which is obviously the wisdom. That brings down intelligence from Chochmah Bina Das through the hands to the person. And the person is zeicha to attain the light of the spheres Chochmah Bina Das. Tremendous. You just finished getting everything you can get from Olam Asiyah. Wonderful. This is our physical world, which includes absolutely everything, all the universes. And we get to see Vav. So once you already get the spheres of Seichel, you got Seichel, you're smart. So now you have to introduce into the Seichel, you have to introduce the midah of emunah, of faith. Because one should not rely on the seichel itself, as it is known. B'fchinas ish emunos rav brachos. A person that is honest in business, he's zochet to a lot of brachos. But what he's talking about here is that you have to be mamshich, you have to draw the emunah into the bracha. The emunah, which is the thing that brings down the bracha, which receives the seichel, it should be filled with emunah. And this is said about Moshe Rabbeinu, the yod of emunah, in his hands were emunah, there became faith. Moshe Rabbeinu was zeichet to put into his seichel the bracha of emunah. Then Rabbeinu brings another proof and says, "B'chinos v'kama b'yodcha mamlechet Yisrael." When Shaul HaMelech realizes, after he was chasing David HaMelech, and he realized that there's nothing he can do, that David HaMelech is going to be the next king, and he says, "V'kama b'yadecha mamlechet Yisrael," and the kingdom of Israel will have an endurance, will endure, will be held in your hands. What's the mamlechas to do in the hands? In other words, he'll be mamshich the emunah, which is mamlech Yisrael, into birkas hayadayim, into the brachas of the hands, because malchus in every place is emunah, as we said. And you are supposed to take the malchus, which is the emunah, and put it into the hands, into the seichel. That's the bracha of the seichel that comes from the hands. You have to see that you have to draw into this the mamlechet Yisrael, the kingdom of Israel, which is the emunah. And so, what's the proof to that? And that emunah is a malchus. Zeu b'chinos, as the prophet told Eli a kohen, Shem Rachim, told him that both his children will die in the war, and tzaddik a kohen will be, a kohen gadol. Says uvanisiloi, and I will build to him a bais ne'eman, a lasting edifice, a lasting house. Hel memshala and hel gdula. It means that the emunah is a bechina of malchus and memshala. Let's take a quick look here, and it says that the Parperois Shemei Nachal wrote as follows, because the pasuk of Vanisil Abayis Neman, and I will build to him a faithful edifice, is a raya b'fnei atzmai, that you have to, it's a proof all its own that you have to pull into you have to bring the bracha of the seichel, you have to pull in emunah. Because where he said before that the kohen in his bracha is bringing about the bracha of the seichel. He said Aaron a kohen lifts his hands and gives a blessing, right? The main bracha talks about the seichel. And this pasuk, we will build to him a faithful edifice, talks about tzaddik kohen. In other words, tzaddik kohen will pull into the bracha of his own seichel a bais ne'eman. In other words, a bechina of emunah. A very important nakuda to understand here. This is a recurring theme in Teres Rabbeinu, that in Teres Harizal, and obviously Teres Yisrael, the thing is, the goal is always to reach the Chochmah. The first Likutey Moharan Rabbeinu says that a person should be, every Jew should be looking for the Chochmah. that exists in every single thing in order to use every single thing in the world in order to get closer to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Because in everything that happens to you, everything that you have, anything that you don't have, everything that you are, everything that you are not, there is a tremendous hidden wisdom in it. Why this is so, that if you are to look for it, connect to it, you're able to utilize it to get close to Kadosh Baruch Hu. If a person is very talented, you can use this talent to get close to Kadosh Baruch Hu. If a person is very untalented, just do it without any talent and baya. If a person is good looking or a person is bad looking, if a person is smart or a person is not, a person is rich or poor, wherever the person is or has or isn't or does not have, has a hidden seichel in it, huge wisdom in it. And if you were to look for that wisdom, maybe you will stop comparing yourself to others. You'll stop comparing yourself to what others have, what other people don't have, or what you think that you should have, or what you think that you shouldn't have. This is when you lose it. In Torah Aleph, Rabbeinu says the only way to get there, to get this wisdom, is through Emunah. It's the same thing that goes on here. First of all, I believe. First of all, thank you very much, Kadosh Baruch Hu, for making me exactly who I am. Thank you. So, in Torah Aleph, Rabbeinu says that the only way that you can get a glimpse of why you have what you have, or don't have what you don't have, or are what you are and aren't what you aren't, is if you approach it with Emunah. You believe Kadosh Baruch Hu knows what he's doing. There's tremendous wisdom in it. You don't know what it is. You're not forcing the issue. You're waiting it to come to you. You believe, and at time it'll come. But here Rabbeinu says there is another step beyond that. Once you already get the wisdom, once you already know why this is so and why that isn't so. So, okay, now it's time for you to start utilizing it, right? To get closer to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Even to that, you have to be mamshich another emunah, a higher emunah. The lower emunah enabled you to achieve the wisdom. That wisdom that you got now is supposed to lead you to a whole new level. Now we know that the union of emunah, malchus, the definition of malchus is the lesla migarme velochim. It doesn't have anything of its own. The only way that you can fill a pot is if the pot is empty. You can't fill a full pot. Emunah has to be, per definition, empty. Now, okay, so I come into my reality, I look at my life, I look at what's going on with me, and I'm saying, I believe that there's wisdom in everything that ever transpired to me. What's going on with me, what went on with me, and the whole. All that. And that got you to the wisdom. What else can you want? The answer is, there is emunah which is above that wisdom. The Emunah, which is above that wisdom, it means that I have reached the wisdom to such a point that I realize that I haven't even started. I haven't started to know anything. To use a very crude example, a person wants to play the violin. Some people do. Now, I don't know if any one of you have ever tried to produce a sound from a violin. A violin is not a piano. Piano, you go, ding, 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 ding. There's a sound, no problem. Violin is actually very difficult to produce a clean sound from a violin. If anybody ever heard a neighbor's kid starting to play the violin, you can hear like that kind of screeching and sawing sound that is like you think somebody is torturing cats by your neighbor's house. Just to produce a sound from a violin takes accomplishment. So once you know how to produce a sound, and you can produce a reasonable sound from the violin, you realize, okay, but now there's a whole world of music that I don't know. And once you acquire that ability to play this music and you delve into this music, you realize that there's a world beyond that music. In that music, there's a world that can be explored, which you haven't even touched. The same thing is in any kind of doctor that knows medicine realizes that ultimately I don't know anything. I know what I know, and I'm supposed to utilize what I know. But in 10 years' time, they will practice a very, very different medicine than the one that I practice today. As Dr. Rabbi Akiva Tatz said, his father was a doctor too. He said, if I were to practice the medicine that my father practiced, I would be put in jail. Which means you never know. The grandeur of the epitome of knowing is when you come to realize that you haven't even started to know. What you know, you know. But compared to what there still is to know, you haven't even started knowing. You are an empty vessel again. You are Emunah again. You're open to receiving new things, to achieving new things, to realizing new things. And this is when as Ravin says, that this is when the malchus of Yetzirah. Until now, we were Chochmah Bina Das of Asiyah. Yetzirah is the world above it. So Beina says, Kadosh is the Mochen. You already pulled Emunah into your seichel, into your intelligence. Zebchina spheres, the Malchus, the Yetzirah, the level of the Yetzirah, which is the Emunah that we said before it goes into your wisdom. Nasa mimeno Sphira de Chochma Bina Das of Asiyah, of the Olam Asiyah, the light of the Sphira of the Bina from the upper world comes down and resides in the Olam Asiyah. Its inner light comes and is mislabish inside the outer light of the Chochma Bina Das of the Asiyah. And this is how a person is zoiche to be masig the light of the malchus of the Olam Yitzira. A person is zoiche to Emunah. Emunah is that's the Emunah you put into the seichel, that this level of Emunah is higher than the seichel itself. Usually, the way it is, you believe in something, you still don't know it, but you believe in it. But once you believe in it, you get to know it. But there is a belief, there's an emunah which is above the seichel. And that is the thing that enables you to continue with your journey. This is why it is so vitally important. Rabbeinu here is concentrating on doing the mitzvahs b'simcha. In different places, we're talking about tefillah. Different places, we're doing this. In this particular thing, in order to get the highest level of attainment that the human being can attain in this world, starts with doing the mitzvahs b'simcha. When they asked Arizal, what are the gates to kedusha? What are the gates to holiness? So Arizal said two things, which I included in That's What You Learn. A, doing the mitzvahs b'simcha, performing the commandments happily. And the second, making brachas b'kavana. Making a bracha, wait a little bit, make a bracha v'yamej. These are the gates to kedusha. B'ezrat Hashem, we will repeat this next week when we go, because this is a very difficult to comprehend issue. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll explain it again. B'ezrat Hashem, let's talk. Tomorrow we're going to be learning Torah and Test, of course, in the Besmesh of Breslov. But and then, of course, what's the Shabbos? The Sichas Haran, Sipurei Tzadikim, Sichas Haran, Baal Sipurei Baal Shem Tov, and all other good stuff.